Here's a solid reason to question the Quran as the Word of God. The Quran claims that Jesus' disciples were Muslims. Check out Surah 352. But when Jesus felt persistence and disbelief from them, he said, "Who are my supporters for the cause of Allah?" The disciples said, "We are supporters for Allah. We have believed in Allah and testify that we are Muslims, submitting to Him." So, according to the Quran, Jesus' apostles were Muslims. But what if we find out that their actual teachings were totally different from Muhammad's and from what the Quran presents? Here's the argument. Premise 1. If Jesus' original disciples rejected core Islamic teachings, then Islam doesn't hold up. Premise 2. The original disciples of Jesus did reject key Islamic teachings. Therefore, Islam doesn't hold up. Now, to get around this, a Muslim would have to reject one of these two premises. But how could they do that? They might claim that the disciples were fooled, that they made mistakes, or that they twisted Jesus' message later on. Or they might argue that the Quran isn't talking about the 12 disciples we know. But here's the kicker. Surah 61:14 shuts that down. It reads, "O you who have believed, be supporters of Allah," as when Jesus, the son of Mary, said to the disciples, "Who are my supporters for Allah?" The disciples said, "We are the supporters of Allah." And a faction of the children of Israel believed, and a faction disbelieved. So we supported those who believed against their enemy, and they became dominant. This shows that Jesus' apostles were victorious because Allah backed them, meaning their message was legit. And Surah 355 backs this up even more. It says, "When Allah said, 'O Jesus, I am to take you in full and raise you towards myself, and to cleanse you of those who disbelieve, and to place those who follow you above those who disbelieve, up to the day of resurrection.'" So, any speculation about the apostles being wrong or deceived hits a brick wall, because the Quran itself says Allah supported them and their message. When we read Surah 352, Paul and the OG apostles. So, when we look at how Paul was accepted by the original disciples, and how his influence shaped early Christianity, it's obvious that the core beliefs of Christianity are miles apart from Islamic teachings. If the Quran is right about Allah backing the disciples and making them dominant, then the Christianity that spread, including Pauline theology, must have been the true message. And that throws a major wrench into the Islamic narrative, showing that the real teachings of Jesus' followers were completely different from what the Quran claims. Even before Paul entered the scene, the book of Acts shows the disciples going all out in Jesus' name, preaching, baptizing, healing the sick, casting out demons, and declaring that salvation is found in no other name. They consistently preached that Jesus was crucified by the Jewish leaders and raised from the dead. The historical account in Acts is rock solid, as I've explained in my other videos. Moreover, Peter, the top apostle, calls God Father and says Jesus was the sacrificial lamb, slain before the foundation of the world and raised from the dead. Peter and Paul's message dominated the scene, and you'll find similar claims in the non-Pauline epistles as well. So this idea that the disciples were Muslims, it just doesn't hold water.